Welcome to Still Talking Uncut. I'm your host, Big Easy, joined by Uncle Joey and Matt LeMasters. Special guest tonight, Master Distiller Michelle Piechowicz from Great Wagon Road Distilling Co. in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Yeah, did I nail that good enough for you, Uncle Joey?
Hey, I told him, I said, her last name ain't the easiest. I said, we might want to do a little homework.
Right.
I got this, bro. I'm good at winging it. It's my thing. Like,
There you go.
I'm good at winging it. So, welcome to the show. You said a Master Distiller winner, beer and the moonshine.
That's right.
Oh, it was a cool episode. I enjoyed turning beer into moonshine. Now, I don't enjoy the taste of it, but I enjoy the process because it's different.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I brewed beer professionally for 5 years before I got into distilling. So it was kind of like they, were asking me what I'm used to distilling, what I've done before. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I've brewed beer and I distill and I've distilled beer. So I kind of, I'm a little familiar with that.
Yeah, it falls in line. It falls in
Mhm.
line. I've done anything from take old Milwaukee's Best and turn it into brew shine or run an old keg full of IPA beer and just turn it into liquor. Why not?
That's right.
You got it. You're bored. You're cold. You ain't got nothing else to do. So,
Yep. It's alcohol.
That's right.
Make
Long
it better.
cold winters up here in Ohio, so you got to find ways to pass the time.
Oh gosh, I know. I'm from Connecticut originally, so as soon as wintertime hit, it was Irish coffees pretty often.
Yeah. Stop fermenting and go hide and just try to stay warm.
Yep.
So
hibernate.
Oh yeah.
Well, we always start the show off with what you're drinking. I saw you sipping on something right before we hit the live button. What you
That's
got
right.
over there, Michelle?
I've got Monday Margarita.
Monday Margarita.
Yep. I love my margaritas.
Nice. Now, is that like your take on a margarita or?
Yeah, well, I'm at the distillery right now, so we've got our tasting room, our bar open, and we make, rather than have sour mix and stuff like brought in, we just make everything fresh in house. So I'm squeezing the lemons, limes. I do a little bit of orange bitters instead of the triple sec, and then about 2-3 ounces of tequila. So
Nice.
yeah.
Have you ever used bourbon to make a margarita real quick?
I have not. No.
So I stumbled upon a bar down in Louisville. It was actually a Mexican restaurant, and they had 2 margarita sides. They had regular margaritas, and you get a bourbon margarita.
Yeah.
And it really intrigued me. And I make bourbon margaritas quite often at home now. And all you do is you just literally just swap them out. Just use tequila in the place of, or bourbon where you would use your tequila. And man, they're actually really solid. Now, of course, I don't use any of the really good bourbons. I've got some solid base mixers that I use, but I mean, still, nonetheless, it makes a solid margarita. You have to try it.
Yeah, I've done a couple of different agave projects aging in different barrels. We did a Chardonnay barrel, Sauvignon Blanc barrel. Then I've got Garrison Brother barrels from Texas. So I did that one's my favorite. Yeah, when we finished it in the bourbon barrel from the Garrison Brothers. So I have made a margarita with that. It's so good.
Now, I've never had their bourbon, any of their offerings, but I've heard it's kind of a smoky or kind of a charry. It's got a lot of flavors, so I bet that would age well. I bet their barrel would age well with some tequila. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's
Very
awesome.
good.
What you sipping on, Uncle Joey?
Well, I hate to admit it once again. It's the second podcast that I've drank this, and we won't ever admit that he makes good liquor. But John Bentz gave me some stuff in a decanter that, man, it's good stuff. It's an aged red, white, and blue that he did.
I hope he ain't watching. We can't admit to him.
I know. I hope he's not. Block him real quick.
Have you ever met Bentz, Michelle?
I don't think so. No.
Be glad.
I would have remembered if I did.
Yeah, right. You would have. You ain't forgetting old Bentz.
Oh yeah.
He's got a place he's working on getting open right now. I hope nothing but the best for him, man. He's a good dude.
Yep, right on the river over in eastern Ohio.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
nice.
So, Matt, what are you drinking on?
I got a rough day at work tomorrow, so I got my pudding cup.
Hold on, where did you get pudding?
I randomly got a case of them in the mail today.
So somebody mailed Matt a case of pudding.
I think
awesome.
somebody's calling me old.
I got
calling
set
out
up, man.
names.
Just trying to help you sleep. So So I was in North Carolina a couple weeks ago over at Bennett's, and he gave me a bottle of bourbon to give to somebody, but this is all that's left, and I don't know if it's making. I don't remember who it was for. It was one of y'all two, but Bennett makes good bourbon, so I don't know. I don't know if you got to meet Daniel. I don't know if you guys filmed at the same time or not. Stevens.
No.
No. Okay. You'll cross Bennett's path. He's great people. Love Bennett.
Yeah.
But I don't know who this bottle was for, but me and Hooch put a hammer on this. It's here along with another quart that he gave. This is what was left. Well, now I did give some jars to Sean to give to y'all, so those are out of my hands.
The guy he's talking about gave me a jar of some aged corn that he did, and man, he knows what he's doing, man. It was a really good jar.
It is really good.
I knew Ian was going to be down that way, so I said, "Hey, man, would you happen to have a little bit more for me?" And he said, "Yeah, let me see what I can." Yeah, you see what's going on here, Michelle.
Yeah, there you go.
I got you half a bottle.
Good friends, good friends.
It made it back. All right, I'll replace it.
It did make it back, but I do appreciate it. Him and Bean sent me some stuff. For whatever I get, I appreciate both you fellas.
They didn't send me anything. I'm a little upset. So.
Man, I'll be honest. I asked the both of them. I did. I said, I really liked your stuff, Bennett. Can I have some more? I've never had yours, Bean. Can I get a little bit of that? And boom, I made it happen.
Not yet.
Well, I made it happen for somebody.
It's so close, but still yet so far away.
Now,
Absolutely.
wait a minute. Bean passed a little bit around and farmed the bottle, but I think somebody's passed out in his car.
Yeah, that was me.
That happens.
All right.
He ain't gonna go so hard. Anyway, all right, we're beyond that. So yeah, Sean stole it all. It's what he does. So anyways, you want to tell us about how you got started? And we said you brewed beer.
Yep. Yep. So I just got in the industry by drinking, in all honesty. Growing up, and I have two older brothers, so I was always
we're all here.
hold my own and hang out with them. But I was like the person in high school and college that would bring the IPA 4-packs to the parties. And I'm like, don't touch my beer. That's my shit. Like, that's good stuff right there. And so I kind of trained my palate from a younger age, I think. And I had a really big passion for beer, and started working at a brewery in Waxhaw, North Carolina, originally. So it was called Dream Chasers. Unfortunately, they're not in business anymore. Kind of a really, I guess, common thing that happens is if you don't lock in leases on your buildings and buy them and you're paying rent and everything, the landlords will jack up the price pretty good. So that happened to them. They had to sell all their equipment and stuff, but that's where I got my start. So I was a taproom manager down there, and I said, I want to be more knowledgeable when customers come in, when the guys come in and say, hey, I'll get a Bud Light or a Mick Ultra. And it's like, you're in a craft brewery. We don't have that, but let me educate you more on like what we do here and what we've got. So I was squeegeeing floors in the back in the brew house with two guys that worked there. Great guys that taught me everything I know pretty much. It was a 10-barrel system. We've made everything from, a nice light lager, Czech Pilsner, all the way to imperial stouts, IPAs, the hazies and everything. So I learned a lot. And then I was offered a head brewing position in Birmingham, Alabama at Dread River Distilling Company. So I was in the industry for, I think, two and a half years at that point. And I was 24 years old. And I was like, these guys are offering me a head brewer position. I was like, they're either crazy or like desperate or something. I was like, but I'm going to jump on that shit. So
nice.
Yeah, I bought a travel trailer. I put my dog in the front seat of my truck, and I just kind of moved to Birmingham, Alabama, and started that project. So it was really cool. We actually got all of the equipment from Asheville Distilling Company. So it was, Troy and Sons is the name of the company. We bought their 5,000 liter co-distill and relocated that down to Birmingham. And I got a little 3-barrel brewing system to mess around on. So it was clean slate, whatever we wanted to do down there. Great opportunity, but I kind of knew Birmingham wasn't going to be my home. So started reaching out to North Carolina, South Carolina distilleries because I love the Carolinas. And Great Wagon Road, which is where I'm at right now, said, hey, yeah, we can hire you on for production maybe in like a year or two. So they had expansion plans. And so I relocated back to North Carolina, and I've been here for 5 years now. So the head distiller, actually pretty much the only person in the production facility. So when we get big orders, I'm bottling nonstop. I actually ran the still today. I did a bourbon distillation and bottled 60 cases of vodka. So hopefully by the end of the week, I'll have that order out for the ABC stores.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, staying busy.
So
what it's all about.
Yep.
What interested you into in putting your application in for master distiller? Did someone, group of people, yourself, was it like an interest that you've had, or how did that whole?
Yeah, they reached out to Great Wagon Road, and because we were filming in Asheville at Tim Smith's place at Two Trees Distilling. So they were like, hey, we kind of got a short timeline. Is anybody at the distillery interested in coming out and being on the show? And the owner of the distillery is from Ireland. And he's like, I don't want to do that. And he's like, so you got to go do it. And I was like, okay. I had no idea about it. I had a trip planned to Ireland. So like they shifted the schedule for filming around a little bit. And the day I got back from Ireland, I drove 4.5 hours at 4 a.m. to get to Asheville. So
wow.
we did filming, and so it was, our episode with Tom and Tyler, and I was the commercial distiller for that situation. But I really never saw a moonshine still before in my life, never ran a moonshine still before. I watched some episodes, I read up on it, but I always like to challenge myself and learn. So I was like, I could do this. The jet lag and super hungover from Ireland didn't help too much, or it helped a lot.
Right.
Yep. But yeah, it was a great experience. It was fun. But 12-hour days of filming just to get that kind of 12 or 25-minute episode. But we did 4 days, and it was a good time.
And that's awesome that they gave you something that was in your wheelhouse that you were comfortable with. A lot of these guys talk about they drop stuff on them and they've never heard of it, never ran it, never seen it.
Yeah,
never touched it, don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
You were familiar, so that even though you'd never seen a still or didn't know anything about a still, you were comfortable with what they were giving you to work with.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Because if it was like one of the ones where recently that I've watched, with the barbecue and turning, that kind of stuff into the spirit, I'm like,
Pat's here. I'll do it. I'll do anything. What do you want done? Let's get it.
I'll try anything. It. Yeah,
I will make anything.
Shine, that was good.
If it'll ferment, we'll make liquor.
I guess, speaking of the barbecue, I guess that Mr. Justin did a taco shine that I heard is amazing. He was drinking it on one of the podcasts. I guess that's crazy. The fun stuff he's coming up with is wild.
Yeah, it's a whole meal in a jar.
Yeah. So when you got into that room and I saw the episode when there was all that beer, what was your thought there? Did you have in mind right off the rip what you were going for because of your palate or the alcohol content of the beer or what was in the beer? I heard you say something about because didn't you go for the darker beer?
Yeah. Yep. So it was funny because I'm very familiar with Highland Brewing. Troy and Sons in Asheville Distilling was in the same building as that brewery. So we'd be there late nights bottling, and we'd switch a bottle of whiskey for, 6-pack of booze or beer and stuff. So the AVL IPA is my favorite beer, but I knew I didn't want to go with an IPA. And then I've distilled a bunch of beers from Charlotte breweries that have been like, hey, this kind of the fermentation went a little off. We don't want to serve it. Do you want it to distill? So I've distilled a light lager to an imperial stout. I did it's Mechtoberfest, Old Mecklenburg Brewing Company. They overproduced their Mechtober. So I've distilled that. I've got some of that like aging in barrels and stuff. But I knew I didn't want to mess around with the hops and the oils and that kind of But what was funny is both of the guys went with that flavor profile.
Right.
And I was tasting their shine as it was coming off, and I was like, I might have messed up here. Because I was like, really? It's not my still. I was like, if the hop oils and the residue kind of stay in there, then I don't really have to worry about, cleaning that out. But I think that I wanted to keep as like neutral of a base as I could. And then if I wanted to add any flavors, I could have done that, with additions.
Yeah.
So
watching it, that was my concern. It's like, how much of that hops going to come through, and just
that's the thing about beer,
the flavor.
If it's hoppy in the pot, man, it's going to be hoppy out the worm unless you do some magical things to it. And like I said, I've done kegs of straight IPA, just like slap you in the face, and when you're done, you're like, bro, I don't know if I could mix this with enough sugar to make it taste good. You just have to accept, like, I'm going to run this a few times and try to do this and that. And the fellers they were the more hoppy. I was real surprised they didn't run straight water in their thumpers just to try to kill that hoppiness on the first runs anyways.
Yep.
So
I was surprised with that too. And I wanted obviously a higher ABV and going with the Gaelic ale, and the oatmeal porter. It wasn't even like a stout, but I just wanted kind of a neutral palate.
Yes. Yes.
So that's why I went with that. If there was an imperial, like the final round, I was like, can we get like an imperial stout in here? Because they were like, what beer do you want to distill? And I was like, I'd love to get something with a little bit more like oomph to it. But obviously I didn't have to worry about my proof at all because the second round I was at like 130.
Yeah.
So I'm used to drinking, 160. Like I start my Hearts collection at about 160 coming off my still. So I'm used to, but when I'm like, I gotta shake my jar right now and figure out what proof it is, I'm like, I'm just gonna go higher than lower.
Higher than lower.
I don't want to be eliminated.
That's right. Better have it a little too spicy instead of not spicy enough. You can always bring it down. Man, it's a pain to try to bring it up. So didn't one of them come off really low in the beginning?
Yep.
I see. I've always wondered when you start coming off low, like collect those first couple jars and dump them right back in the pot and just try to bump that ABV with your beginning jars.
Yeah.
A lot of tricks people that you could use that I don't know. Like we don't get to see everything that goes on with you guys.
The behind the scenes and what was happening was like 20 times what actually was shown.
It's kind of like making a how-to video at home. It's like, there's 4 hours of oh shits and oh damn, and now that's a mess that you don't ever get to see.
Yeah.
And so I completely understand how it all doesn't go in there. So we're always like, well, I wonder, did they do this? Why didn't they do that? And it's like, well, maybe they did. They just didn't edit that part in for us to see. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, his first round, when his still was puking.
Yeah,
I warned him about that too.
He overcharged that thumper. He was thumping it in. I'm like, man, how much stuff is he going to put in that thumper? I had talked to Tyler. I met Tyler a couple years ago, and he's like, hey man, are you? I watched your peach brandy video. That's how I got started. And I'm like, yeah, that's me, man. How you doing? I think we was at Sean's release, I believe. We went down for Sean's release, and so he was messaging me, hey, I'm thinking about doing this and that. So Tyler's a good fella. I really like Tyler.
Oh, he was awesome.
He's actually going to be on here sometime. I think he'll be on in May. So we'll be talking to him too.
He overcharged that thumper. He filled that thumper up like he was running another pot.
Yeah. And then I asked him, I was like, hey, can you guys get us some olive oil? And they were like, what do you want olive oil for? And I was like, because it'll make it so that like an anti kind of foaming thing.
We all use a lot of us shiners. We use a stick of butter. Yep. We use a stick of butter.
He did recover well from that, though. He ended up with a fairly decent run.
Oh, he did. Yeah. And like I said, when I was tasting their shines, I was like, maybe I went too safe. Maybe I played it like a little bit too close to home on this one. But I just went with what I knew.
Less hops is more when you're running brew shine.
Yeah.
I
like
believe
in the final round, he had some nice pineapple coming through. And I was like, hey, do you want some of my coconut? And he's like, no, I'm staying true to the shine. And I was like, but if you put the coconut with the pineapple, it's going to be like a pina colada. It's going to be delicious. So,
hey, good thing you didn't listen, right?
I know, right? Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I was just in Tennessee and I grabbed a jar of the pineapple soaked in coconut from Tennessee Shine Company, and I've already destroyed the whole jar.
Oh, yeah. It's delicious.
Yeah.
A little pina colada going on.
Just drinking. I opened the jar up and handed the two other guys. We were with a family vacation. Handed to each of them forks, and we just started stabbing this jar, and it was gone. There's very little pineapple left in this jar.
Yeah. I always tell everybody I like to drink my desserts.
Yeah.
That's why I like my high proof, whiskeys and bourbons and stuff. And then I do like to kind of, because I'm not too much of a sweet tooth, but I love what you can do with incorporating different flavor profiles.
Nice.
So
you do enjoy drinking your bourbons. Then what's your go-to bourbon?
I do like Garrison Brothers out of Texas.
Nice.
I'm a big fan of their whiskeys. You can see the barrels behind me. Doc Porter, they were a North Carolina distillery that actually same thing happened. Their lease was up and the owner of the building was like, hey, give me a ridiculous amount of money or you got to close down. So Doc Porter's is where I actually got my first introduction kind of toes into distilling. So that's come full circle because I just harvested and proofed down and bottled all of their bourbon. So that's actually really good. I just did a Bloody Butcher bourbon that coming off the still was like butter popcorn. So I'm super excited. Yeah. To see what I put that in some 25-gallon barrels. So that should be done in the next like year and a half, 2 years. So I'm excited.
Red corn, red corn ages real well. The oily red corn ages fantastic.
Yeah. But I found that lately I kind of just drink my own stuff. You mostly have single malts. Yeah, I just had a group of guys come in and do a single barrel pick with me, and it was 122 proof, unfiltered, 25-gallon barrel for 4 years, and that was like some cinnamon French toast. Like it was so good. But I had to like cut some of these guys off because I was like, all right, it's 122 proof. Like,
yeah, I gotta babysit you guys. Myself, so yeah, that's in my wheelhouse, man. Anything over like 110, the burn and the char and the flavor, man. It's a solid proof point. I think, man, it really is.
You respect the heat when it's at 120. Yes. You know, when you get an aged bourbon and it's 100 proof and it's got heat to it, you're like, man, why is the heat still here? Like it's ain't 120, but it tastes like 120.
Yeah.
And I've tried some high end bourbons that are just like, this is way too hot for how long it's sat and for what it's supposed to be. So I really enjoy it when it's 120. You respect that heat a little bit more.
Yeah. And I got my big rocks cubes, and just let it kind of. Usually my sweet spot's probably about 100, 105.
Nice.
Yeah, if I'm drinking whiskeys. So that rocks cube will bring that 120 down, pretty nice. It's balanced out.
So your experience on the show, did you guys have a lot of good hangout time? Did you enjoy the group you were with? Tyler seems pretty cool. I didn't really get to feel much of the other guy out too much. He was kind of hard to read, but Tyler seems like a real good down-to-earth dude.
Tyler was great. And it was funny because we all got there in the morning, and they're miking us up. And we're kind of like feeling each other out and stuff. And I'm super outgoing. I'm a little over the top sometimes. And I also just put it all out there. I speak my mind. So I'm like, hey guys, like, how are you feeling? What's going on? And Tyler was like super nervous and in his head.
Yeah.
Like he has, I think like 5 young boys. He brought his kids with him, his wife with him. Like they were back at the hotel. I took my boyfriend's Tesla because I was like, I'm gonna get drunk and I'm gonna have autopilot on. So that worked out great. I was like the party car bringing everybody around. But Tom and I hung out a lot, and that was fun because he's from Colorado and we're both actually originally from Connecticut. Like we graduated from UConn, I think like a few years apart. So I took him, he went to Sierra Nevada. We went out to a few places in downtown Asheville. We had a good time. But Tyler didn't get to hang too much because he was kind of like dad mode, stressed. Yeah.
Stressing in family. So
he was super stressed, but he was great. Like I think the people that were filming too were like, you guys, like they had to remind us it was a competition. They're like, no, like, because I was like helping him out, like, hey, your still's gonna puke and blah, blah. And then
that's the way, man. It's hard to turn that off. When that's you, no matter where you're at, it's hard to turn that off because you want to help, you want to teach, you're like, hey, man, you don't understand. Let me help you. And
they taught me how to run the still. Like I didn't know how to run the still pretty much. And then it started like my vapor started coming out at one spot, and I'm like, I got my wrench and I'm cranking it down, and they were like, get your jar out and make the paste.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Make the paste.
Like, why don't I? So that helped me a little bit. And then at one point, I remember Tyler looking at Tom going, we really shouldn't help her anymore. And I thought it was kind of funny. I was
they need to get rid of them unions and put some tri-clamps on them stills.
Yeah.
Well, I got one from the same guy that makes the stills. I have a little 30-gallon in the distillery now to mess around on. And I was like, I want tri-clamps.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess around with that shit.
So were they filming any others while you were there? Did you get to hang out with any of the other episodes at all? Or
yes. I don't know if it aired yet, but it was Wine to Shine.
That hasn't aired yet.
Yeah, that was kind of cool because it was, we were doing beer to shine and they were doing wine to shine. And so that was another group of people. And so it was fun. They were a little bit, you could tell, more reserved, I guess.
Were they wine people?
Yeah, right. Yeah. One of them was like very serious, like chemical engineer mindset and stuff, which I respect immensely. I'm not that smart. And then one of the other guys was super like he was a master of his craft. I talked with him a little bit. He was super cool. But he's out in Colorado, and I guess him and Tom have hung out since then. But yeah, the way they did it was like we'd get there in the morning, they'd take those guys in to film. We'd hang around and they'd do like the side interviews and then kind of flip us. Mm-hmm. So then we'd go in and we'd do our runs and everything. So we didn't get to hang out with the other people too much. But I think that Tom, Tyler, and I were a pretty close crew.
Yeah,
well, that's awesome.
You always know when you're around people like yourself.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, Tom and I, we went out after his elimination round and stuff, and he's like telling everybody in town and in Asheville and stuff, and he's like, this is so cool, this is amazing. So opposed to his like girlfriend, fiance. So we all have like a little group chat. We all text each other all the time.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. You guys are still close.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I heard you say something about Tyler was going to come run some liquor with you or something.
Yep. Yeah, I invited him if he wants to come out to Charlotte. Everybody was kind of ragging on me because they're like, yeah, well, Michelle's got a 1,000-liter hybrid pot column. She just goes into the distillery in the morning, flips a switch, and then whiskey comes out. And I was like,
it's just that easy.
It's just that easy. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not quite that. So like I said to Tyler, because when him and I first met, he was like, well, I feel like if you need to be a master, then you need to be able to run anything. And I was like, yeah, I agree, I guess. I was like, but I don't even know what a thumper is. So this will be an interesting experience for me. And then when I won, he was kind of like, well, damn.
Well, damn.
But I was like, you come to Charlotte anytime. I extended the invitation to both the guys. If they want to come, they can. I mean, I'm mashing in pretty much every other week, distilling. The way my setup is I have a 2,000-liter mash tank, 2,000-liter fermenter, and then 1,000-liter still. So one mashing gets me 2 distillations.
Well, you just answered some
kind
questions.
Of on the smaller side, 4-plate whiskey column.
You answer questions that I usually ask. Yeah, what do you usually have mash? How much mash you usually have going on any given day?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So what all do you guys
like?
Make
I learned on that 5,000-liter.
What all do you guys make there through your distillery?
We've got single malt. I've done a bourbon recipe, a rye recipe. Oh shit, my battery's gonna die. Hold on one sec. Let me hop over.
That's fine.
Hey, that's why we live, man.
Oh, by the way, just so everybody knows, Sean is a piece of shit.
Yeah, Sean is a piece of shit.
Sean's a piece of shit.
Yeah, Matt, how many pudding cups you gonna eat tonight?
All of them.
I told my son this story about what they did to me. He was in tears, man. And you know the great thing about it? Nobody left any group messages. Nobody, you know what I mean? Like, nobody's mad about it.
About what, pudding?
No, about being set up.
That's awesome.
Battery is running low. Technology.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
All right.
You're good. Give me time to get another pudding cup.
All right.
Hey, some things just work out perfectly, you know, and that was one of them.
All right, there we go. We're hooked up
All
now.
right.
Do you plan on being at the Hillbilly Jam this year in the summer? Yeah, we got freeze.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I wonder how far she's from the Hillbilly Jam.
She's Charlotte. That's not that far.
Oh, cool.
It's a couple hours, I believe.
Nice.
So, let's see, she must have run into a dead spot. Too far away from the Wi-Fi box.
There we go.
Right.
All right, we're back. Welcome
Did
back.
it work? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're back.
We got it.
Do you plan on being at the Hillbilly Jam this year in the summer?
I would like to. Where is that one again? Is that
Maggie Valley.
Maggie Valley?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm planning on it. I would like to. I know that Tyler and Tom said that they'd like to as well. Being the only one in the production facility kind of sucks because taking time off.
Rough, yeah.
It's a little tough. But it's not too far from me. So I could probably, and like I still have a travel trailer, so I could like hook that up and just go, and then I don't have to worry about lodging or anything. So, but
it's a good time. I said a lot of like we come down from a lot of us from Ohio come down, and we hang out for the weekend, and trade liquors and meet a lot of people and shoot shit. So it's a great time. So if you can make it,
yeah,
you should definitely.
I should. Now that I've got my little moonshine still, and I get to mess around on that, I should kind of be coming up with some different stuff.
That's right, and not just make your best thing. That's what I want to try. I want to try. I don't want to try your new thing. I want to try your best thing. Whatever.
So can I bring my whiskey then?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely.
Okay.
If it's your best thing, bring it. So,
all right.
Do you guys do any brandies at the distillery?
So I just had probably 6 or 8 months ago, a vineyard reached out. They overproduced blueberry wine. So that was
jackpot.
They overproduced 2,000 gallons of blueberry wine.
Wow.
Yeah. So they brought them in totes. I filled pretty much all the tanks that I have on site, and I did a couple distillations with that. But that was my first kind of dabble into a brandy. But it's already finished wine. But it was fun. Yeah. It was good. Yeah. But that's the extent of that one.
Old Ben's makes a fantastic blueberry brandy.
Yeah.
I'll try anything. Daniel, you pass it over here. I'm going to try it. So.
That's me too. I've never met a jar that I did not like.
I have met jars I didn't like. I just haven't met a jar I won't try. If you hand it to me, I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily going to like it, but you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to try it. So
far, I've been pretty lucky, man. There's only been between all the farm to bottles and any other place I've been, there might have been one time I got handed something that I really wasn't a fan of. So far, it hasn't been a bad experience. I know Ohio's a little bit of a drive for you or a little bit of a travel, but the Farm to Bottle Festival that Dan Gray puts on in September is a really good time.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's Southern Ohio.
And then you got the Beattyville Bourbon and Moonshine Festival over in Beattyville, Kentucky, put on by Donnie and Teresa, which is an awesome festival. It's just a one-day Saturday thing, but it pulls down. A lot of people show up to that one. It's kind of centralized for everybody. So
cool.
I believe that's June 14th this year.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited. That'll be my first time at the Beattyville.
So what's your favorite thing in the distillery that you enjoy making?
Bourbon. I'd say
the bourbon.
Yeah, I try to. That's my opportunity to work with like local farmers. I use Riverbend Malt House out of Asheville. Try to keep everything kind of as close to home as I can. We have a single malt that's called Rua. So in Gaelic, that translates to redhead. So that's 100% Canadian Pilsen malt, barley. So that recipe was kind of put in place before I started working here. But since I've come on, I've been able to do any rye recipe I want, any bourbon recipe I want. I guess TTB just announced single malts, American single malts as a new category. So that's going to be a really big game changer because I've got some 10-year-old single malt that's just been sitting here in barrels ready to go. Yeah, so we do single barrel picks, limited releases. But the bourbons, like I said, I did a Bloody Butcher. I did just a Cumberland corn is what it's called. And then caramels and vanillas and everything. So like I said, I like to drink my dessert. So I think that the bourbons really get where I get the most creative control. Not too big on rye whiskeys. The owner loves rye whiskeys, but we do have a couple different recipes of that going on as well.
I'm not a rye fan. I'm I'm more of a weeded whiskey. I like a weeded bourbon. That's my style.
How long do you normally age your bourbons?
For a 53-gallon barrel, I want to be around 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, for the 25s, I can get away with 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you said you have a 10-year aging right now. Is that the longest, the oldest you have in the barrel right now is a 10-year?
Yeah. Yep. And so the company has been in business for 11 years, or coming up on 11 years. So that 10-year-old, goes all the way back. It's barrel number 4 that they barreled. So that was before I worked for this company. But I had to take like a sample out the other day because the owner wanted to do some type of celebratory, like here's the one bottle off of this barrel. And the way I did is I took like a little hose, stuck it in the top of the barrel, and siphoned it out. It was 145 proof.
Nice.
At 10 a.m. in the morning.
I've siphoned gasoline
like
before too.
Punching you in the chest right there.
Oh yeah.
I've siphoned gasoline. I know.
Sounds
all
like
about
your
that,
boss
you
is
know?
somebody
much
like
what
he's
that
a good
was.
time. Yeah.
Yep. I was like, I think this thing's empty. And like, so we had to he's like, no, there's some in there. There's some in there. It's like, it's half full, if that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
You get it out.
So
Nice.
did that get proofed down at all, or you left
Nope.
it right there?
Yeah,
Mouth
he wants it right there.
It's
Yeah,
mouth proof.
we did a single barrel pick with the company online that we were using, Sealbacks. And so they bought 375 milliliter single malt from us. And that was at 100, I think 30. And it was just like this big chocolate covered cherry. It was delicious. And
That's awesome.
that was perfect the way that it was. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we've got some good whiskey aging here. I have another location in Concord, North Carolina, which is like 15-20 minutes down the road, but the warehouse space is a lot cheaper. So we'll put new make up there, and then I bring you the barrels that are ready to harvest back down to our NODA location, which is where I'm at right now.
Sounds like you stay busy.
I do stay very busy. But I told my brothers, I want a job where it doesn't feel like I'm working a day in my life, and I think that I've accomplished that pretty good. Like, I bring my dog to work with me, and then if it's nice out and I don't need to do so, I can just, fuck off and go kayaking for the day. So it's pretty cool being able to run the distillery the way that I do.
Nice.
Sounds like you have the dream job for real.
Yeah, I'm a little jealous.
Being on the show
Yeah.
made me realize that a little bit too. Yeah, like talking to the guys that are moonshining at home, I was like, I feel so fortunate that I get to come to work every day and do this. And sometimes it's 7 days a week, 12-hour days, but I don't even mind.
Yeah, they don't see that side of it. Absolutely right.
Right. But for us, most of us, we all have regular jobs, and then we're all trying to shine in our free time and make time for the family at the same time, and trying to come up with new shit or perfect old stuff. And so it's definitely to be able just to, that's what you do because it's what you love, is definitely a dream a lot of us hold. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I came in last night and loaded the still because I knew I needed to run it this morning, and it's just nicer to not have to get in and transfer and deal with all the hoses and the mash and stuff. So like this morning I did come in and just flip a switch.
When you do all the work before, that's what you do. Like it's like if I'm going to run, I do all my loading of the still and get everything together the night before, because it's an all day job. It's getting everything together. And the next morning, afternoon, or whenever, it's just like, all right, flame on. Let's let it go. I don't have to do anything now except wait. So
and it takes the same amount of time to run 1,000 liters still versus the 30-gallon moonshine still.
It's insanity, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is insanity. I never realized like the correlation. Like I went from running a keg to a 20-gallon pot to a 50-gallon drum, and the time difference isn't that much. And especially the mashing and the loading and the cleanup, all that's the same pretty much.
Yep.
And just a little bit longer in your run. So it's like, oh, you're gonna run a 20, you might as well run 100.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's how it is with beer too. Like I remember when I was working at the brewery, like we had a little test, like 1 barrel system to do test batches on. That was more work than running the 10-barrel brewing house, because that was so much more automated, where it's like click, 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 this temperature, this transfer, this done. All right, we're fermenting.
Yeah. What do you like doing better? liquor or beer?
Distilling. Oh yeah, no, beer is 75% cleaning, 25% brewing. Like that's that. And when I first got into distilling and I was learning it, like I had my Sandy bottle, I'm running around like, oh, don't let this hit the floor, don't let that, oh, move it. The guy was training was doing. So I come from brewing, where like you can't have anything like you'll make people sick. And you go, no, you're fine, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah, we're making liquor, not wine. We're making liquor, not beer. That's my thing. It's one of the things I love about it. It's like, oh, this mash got infected. That looks disgusting. Like that's going to taste delicious when you run it.
Yep.
Whereas if it was a beer, you're
up.
like, oh, this whole batch is trash.
It's done.
Yep. No, we love that. We want that. We want it to be funky and pick up wild things from the air. And
I'm one of those weird guys I was opposite. I started distilling. Then I went back. I'm like, oh, I can make beer. That's got to be simple. Nah, couple attempts. Hey, I'm done. I'll buy beer now.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it. Yeah, it's so easy. It's so easy. It's so cheap. It's like I'm just gonna buy it. So
there's a brewery across the street from us over here in Charlotte called Divine Barrel. And they're one of my favorite breweries in Charlotte, but like we didn't have our mashing equipment hooked up yet. And I got to go over and run their 10-barrel system for our single malts. And so I was pretty much just distilling the beer wash. So I'm driving across the street with the forklift with a tote full of like beer wash. And people are like laying on their horns. And I'm like go around. So,
I'm doing important shit here. Yeah, go round.
Go round. You'll be all right.
But so it's always good. We'll always trade and everything. You know, hey, I got this new barrel I harvested. Oh, I got this new small batch that I did. So it's just a great community. It's family.
Well, that's awesome.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, it's a shared love, whether you're just making beer, wine, making liquor, if you just make tequila, it's just like it all comes back to making alcohol, and so we're all some connected at some point of just our love for what we do, and some of us, we love to make liquor. And
yep. And I'm a super like nerd, like chemistry and and then artsy too. So I feel like, I went to school for environmental conservation. I thought I was going to be some hippie out in the woods, doing trail work and working in state parks. But like this fits my personality so well because I can create something. Like I love having my hands in a bag of malt and then having it come off the still. And then if it's my vodka, then I'm just proofing it down, filtering it, bottling it. Or if it's the whiskey, then I'm figuring out what char level I want, what cooperage we use and stuff. So it's awesome. I absolutely love it. I'm very passionate about it.
We can tell. So keep doing what you're doing.
And it's awesome to know that everything you're doing, you're putting all that into a barrel that's going into a bottle and that people are going to appreciate. And then when you see that appreciation on their face, that's got to give you that warm feeling that all that you've been doing, look what you've done, I did that, those people enjoy what I made. Mm-hmm. So that's got to be a cool feeling. Absolutely.
It is. Yeah. But especially with my brothers, it's always, hey, my little sister makes booze. They have an HVAC company and my dad has HVAC. So that's the family business. But then when I go home for holidays and stuff, I bring back whiskey with me that I made. And we're all sitting by the fire having cigars. And my brother's like, my little sister did this. So.
And I talked about that, learning how to make moonshine. It's something that I want to pass on to my kids to where we can enjoy doing it together. Make jars together and enjoy it together, maybe make some stuff to barrel, it's all about togetherness. It's all about family. It's not all about, but that's a big part of it. Goes into what it's all about.
Yeah. Once you get Tyler on here and that you could just see that radiating through him.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, my boys and I are out in the woods together and and I'm like, he was just so passionate about it. His story's amazing. I said to Mark and Digger, I was like, can you just let Tyler win? And they're like, Michelle, it doesn't work like that. And I was like, no, dude, it'll mean the world to him. And he's like, we'll do a rematch. We'll do a rematch. And I'm like, all right, Tyler, anytime you want.
Anytime.
Well, that's awesome right there. You were really ready to just hand it to Tyler just because you saw what it was about for him.
Oh gosh, yeah. Like the dude, I was so passionate about it. Was starting to tear up, and he's like, oh.
Well, I can't wait to interview him. He's going to be a good one, I bet.
Yeah, he's a badass teddy bear. What else?
So, you have anything you want to do in the future? Anything that you have your eye on now that you have your little experimental still?
All right, let me go get a bottle. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. Easy tired.
No, I'm good. Surprised Matt's still awake after all the pudding cups.
All that pudding, man. You know, Shelly done slipped his meds in each one of them cups.
In case you're wondering, me and Sean was like, Uncle Joey, all right, we're all sending Matt pudding cups. Hop on Amazon and drop ship him a thing of pudding cups. And we're like, all right, cool.
I did it.
So boom, he drop ships him, and then we just wait, and today goes by, and they get delivered, and they're all like, who sent the pudding cups? And
I'm getting my workout in.
Me and Sean are like,
so this
you're
is
an asshole, Uncle Joey.
Shellshine.
Nice.
Shellshine. So when I got back from the show, and I had so much fun, and then we got this new still in. So that's my own personal label I got to design and everything, and recipes I get to make, and we can release it here out of the distillery. So.
Oh yeah.
Nice. When will that be available?
So the first batch I did, I tried to replicate the recipe I did on the show to the best of my ability. So we did that with the launch party, and then I'm working on what I want to do next for my next one. But once this big order gets bottled and sent out, I can focus more on that.
Yeah, once you get that out of your way, right. That's crazy. That's a large order.
Oh yeah.
But that's awesome though. At the same time, yes.
Nice. I'd like to get a hold of one of them.
Yeah, we might have to find someone who'd grab us one of those.
Man, I don't think Charlotte is much out of the way on the way to Maggie Valley. I mean, I don't know.
Depends where you're coming from, yeah.
You make it not out of the way, so.
All depends on being.
But I'll have to bring that with me. Yeah, I'll bring it with me.
Well, awesome.
Is everything? I think there we go.
So what did you what's your mash bill?
Show liquor is hard to replicate. Yeah, it sure is.
On the show. What's
my mash bill for the shine?
Yeah.
I just did 100% corn.
Okay. Just a yellow corn or a white corn or
a yellow corn from Rand, and then in the cocoa nibs and I did some graham cracker. I also did the vanilla bean maceration, everything like that. The coffee, I did vapor infused with coffee in the kettle, I think. So, yeah, pretty similar, except I just did 100% corn for the base rather than the beer.
Nice.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, everybody says it tastes like s'mores. So that's kind of like what I was going for, like the same thing I did on the show.
Well, hell yeah. So how does that work? Will that be something you will be able to distribute through the ABC or just at the distillery?
I personally want to keep it just at the distillery.
Okay.
The ABCs, they're a little difficult. And obviously, anytime you send out bottles, your profit margin decreases.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I think that this is kind of my baby. I want to keep it in-house. We have a location in Waxhaw, North Carolina. And then we have our tasting room production bar in Noda. So it'll be like kind of every other month there'll be a new release of Shellshine that I'll be able to send out. So it's going to be small batch. And I don't plan on really distributing it.
Nice. Well, let's be honest. That'll also get a nice draw to the distilleries by that being a distillery only jar that you can get. People that saw you on the show, if the jar is as good as what everyone said on the show, people are going to want that jar because they talked very highly of the flavor of that jar that you put out, your show jar. So I think that'll give some good traffic to your distillery and really help you guys out a lot down there. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the main reasons for going on the show. Like, I personally don't like attention on me too much.
Right.
Definitely more of like, kind of behind the scenes. Like, I like being in the production facility. I like being left alone. I bartended for over 10, 15 years. And I was like, I'm done with that part of my life. Now, when I get behind the bar, customers are like, you're really mean. And I'm like, yeah, well, you're asking me for Jack Daniels and I'm a craft distiller. Like so yeah, it's going to piss me off a little bit.
Absolutely. I understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't want the good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't know what the good stuff is. Like,
That's it.
Exactly.
That's usually the problem.
It's true. Yep. Because they're like 100 proof, that's strong. And then they taste, they go, oh my gosh, this isn't that bad. And I'm like, yeah, that's because like it's a craft spirit. It's not, that continuous distillation column where they're stripping everything out and just trying to get as much juice as they can. So,
Yep.
All right, well, I think we've had everybody on here long enough. No more awkward silence, but Chuck, one more pudding cup for us, Masters, for the viewers, bro.
I have to go get more.
Oh man, yeah. So me and Sean told Uncle Joey that, hey, we're all sending Matt LeMaster's pudding cups because he's elderly and he likes to have a pudding cup at about 4 p.m. right before bed, and so Uncle Joey's on his way back from Gatlinburg.
Love.
And so he's driving. He's only doing 20 miles an hour, so he's good on the highway. And so he drop ships Matt some pudding cups, and they arrived today. And so we're all waiting, and then all of a sudden we're like, man, who sent Matt pudding cups as an asshole? You're an asshole, Uncle Joey. Who would treat their friends like that? Going random dropping pudding cups, man.
Matt is barely older than all of us. He's the oldest. I'm the second oldest in the group. So we've been busting Matt's balls for years about he gets a pudding cup and a sponge bath right before bed. So
there you go.
That's how the whole pudding cup. We're
a good life.
We're a close knit.
It's not bad at all.
So I'm the asshole that sent Matt pudding cups today.
Yeah, what a dick.
I'm at work today, and my wife sends me a picture of a box with a label on it, but it says Papaw, and I'm like, I know it's one of these three assholes because everybody knows grandkids call me Pappy.
I sent it to Papaw Matt is who I sent it.
You thought Noble sent it at first, don't lie.
So that's where the pudding cup thing came from today.
It still didn't top Noble getting them two fellers to walk up and act like they knew Sean from TV Saturday night. That was
classic.
Fantastic.
Yeah, these guys are good friends, just so you know.
Yeah, we're all good buddies. Yeah. and we act like it. So.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Michelle.
Right.
We really do. I enjoyed watching the season 7, episode 5. You did a wonderful job. I hope you nothing but success.
I figured. I'd imagine. Yeah.
He's 80. So if you're at the Hillbilly Jam in July, I will see you there.
Thank you for having me.
I will see you there, and hopefully you are. If you are, I wouldn't mind if you brought me one of those shell shine jars.
Close, Mr. Stevens.
Thank you. I'll see you guys in Maggie Valley.
All right, you guys have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Cool.